Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in this video we are going to be going through the mechanics that were passed to the developers for December of 2021. Now they just released the January 2022 past to the developers, so we're getting into that next week if there is no other news, and I think will be a little bit easier to get through everything. By the way, today there is actually a custom event going on, once again, run primarily by Wingerling Dragon. I'm going to be there, we're going to be streaming it, and basically this time it involves the MB174A3. It's the twin-engine bomber. So if you are interested in custom events, come along and get involved. All you have to do is join his Discord and, come along and have some fun. It's been really fun the last few weeks. I've had a great time in it, and I'm going to continue to do these. I think the plan is to continue to do them every Saturday if you are interested. So make sure to come along and enjoy some of the fun. The first post is about the Italy ground forces map, but unfortunately it is out of date because obviously the Italy ground forces map doesn't exist anymore. The only one which does exist is of course the newer version of it, which has been in the game for at least a year now, I think. Campania, I believe it's called. But we'll just take that as it is. Basically, the idea is instead of doing a left to right setup on the map, you do a top to bottom setup. So the spawn points are in the bottom of the map near the statue, and also the top of the map near the hills. So basically just rotating the configuration of the map by 90 degrees and keeping the cap points exactly where they are. So basically the idea is you will just end up city fighting, but instead what will happen is people will go far out to the left and mainly far out to the right, because that's where you can get the hill advantage, and they will just sit there and look at your spawns. But at the same time, it would be interesting to see this configuration, but that's basically the idea behind it. There was also some Finnish decals which were passed, and I would say if you want to see all of them in full, make sure to check out the article itself. Unfortunately, I can't show some of them because of other unfortunate icons which are on these planes. But they do involve a bunch of different Air Force insignias from Finland, and they do look really nice. It's generally nice to see more and more decals as we go, and I'm sure we will see these going forward. There's also some ideas for some Japanese camouflages during the Second World War, and normally when it comes to tanks, when it comes to Japan, the main thing you see is a one-color pattern, whether it's grey, brown or green, but there actually are some illustrations of camouflages of vehicles from the general Japanese area, which do show kind of a dual or multicolored setup, normally involving the light brown, dark brown, green combo, which can be seen on many vehicles. So hopefully in the future we see a few more camos for the lower tier Second World War vehicles for Japan, and it may entail some of these ideas. The next post wants more free stuff for existing, and the general idea is improving the level reward and also a prestige system in the general game. So the general idea, first of all, is behind the leveling up, is when you level up in the game, you don't get really anything apart from at specific levels where you get titles and SL. So what is the example put forward is after leveling up you get 50 golden eagles and 10k silver lions as well, or something similar to that. Maybe a pay structure of a level 9 player that leveled up to level 10 will receive 100 golden eagles and 20,000 silver lions. But because War Thunder has 100 levels, you'd probably expect to get 1,000 GE and 1 million SL on your last 99th level, but instead you would only get a maximum of 200 GE, which would stop increasing at level 20, and 200,000 silver lions for no real reason apart from, I'm guessing they realized this wouldn't be viable. And then at level 100, they'll get a pack, which you'll get 1,000 G and 1,000,000 silver lions. So, yeah, we're just throwing free stuff at people who do this stuff anyway. An interesting point is actually brought up in this article here, where it talks about an option to hide the flight stick in the cockpit. You can already hide the player model, or the pilot model, I should say, in the cockpit. But the basic problem of not being able to hide the flight stick, it pretty much means that if there are instruments behind the flight stick, you won't be able to see them. This actually gives VR players an advantage over non-VR players, which is something I don't say often when it comes to War Thunder. But in order to address this imbalance that is in the game, there should be an option, according to the article, to hide the flight stick, so therefore you could see everything behind it. I think this is a good idea. It's generally something that I haven't really thought of before either, so I'm pretty happy to see it get suggested. And there is definitely issues, especially with certain jets, as we go forward when it comes to War Thunder. With more and more complicated cockpits, there's going to be more and more issues. We now have a suggestion which is nearly 5 years old. It's from the 20th of May 2017, and the idea is to improve the rejected members message when it comes to squadrons. So when you apply for squadrons, basically the officers or the leaders of that squadron can reject you, and they can also provide a reason for it, for why you are rejected. But the problem is, it doesn't initially pop up on the screen when the player is in the hangar to basically say that they've been rejected. Instead, what it ends up being in is in the messages tab. So the general problem is that it isn't shown to the person unless they know where they're looking at. And maybe at that time they might have a issue when it comes to they might have an issue when it comes to understanding what the message is, or why why their application didn't go through. So it would be nice to make it a bit clearer, maybe a message which just straight up pops up in the hangar instead of being stuck in your messages tab. That's the general idea when it comes to this stuff. And I think it's a pretty solid one. More information and more easier accessible information is normally nice to see. There's also an idea to bring back old event vehicles and decorations and also camouflages and all of that good stuff. The general idea is to copy the same format of the Operation Winter or Operation Summer event, but add more stipulations to it. So basically have the star system, and then use the star system, you grind out X amount of stars, and then you can use those stars towards any of the older vehicles that you want to get when it comes to the game. And there is, as I said, some stipulations though, such as if you want a specific rank vehicle, so for example the rank 4030, you must have rank 4 unlocked in the US Army Tech Tree. So it's a little bit tougher than just doing the standard challenges for the standard events, and so on and so forth. So if you want the rank 5 HMS Tiger, you have to have the rank 5 unlocked to British Blue Water. And then there will be also no coupons for this event, but you can purchase for each star with GE if you want to. But generally, since there are no coupons, the idea is not to be able to use it in order to profit on the Gaijin markets. There are some vehicles which are excluded from the event for some reason, and this is stuff such as the Twitch reward vehicles, which will stay as Twitch rewards, vehicles like the Po-2, which can stay within their own events, and then special warbomb vehicles like the TV3M, even though it was an event vehicle back in the day, special packs like the German Sherman T-34 for obvious reasons, and duplicate vehicles like the Grant 1 in the US Tech Tree and the Hong Kong T-34 in the USSR Tech Tree will also not return since they're already available in the nations they belong to. Okay, I don't really agree with that one. But yeah, the fact is, this is an event to bring back old event vehicles. Would be nice to see something similar to it. There's also a proposal for the removing of the limit for the automatic APFSDS projectiles. Right now, when it comes to the automatic, it is only limited to 12 APFSDSs, whereas other machines can have as many as they want. The article brings up the idea of the fact that the HSTVL and the Swedish STRF vehicles can bring as many as they want, including a full load of APFSDS, but the automatic cannot. So therefore, it would be nice for it to get full APFSDS like it used to. It is an AA though at the end of the day, and then we can start arguing whether all of the AAs should have full either DM33 or 23 belts. But yeah, the general idea is just to give the automatic back its full APFSDS complement. The next idea is to put anti-tank mines around spawns on the map, and this is decided to counter spawn camping. So the idea is around the general semicircle or whatever area is around the general spawn, anti-tank mines will be there, and if people touch them, then they blow up. It's as simple as that. Maybe not all the time, maybe they get tracked, maybe they get annihilated, or maybe they just have a bad day. But one thing this will not solve is people just sitting outside of the cap, which is what they already do, and doing exactly the same thing from 10 meters behind. The next post wants to remove the hot track. So I shouldn't say that. What I should say is have the ability to be able to remove the hot tracks. And this is based on, unfortunately, performance of the game. So the user found that when the hot tracks were implemented on different vehicles, they were running into some FPS drops which weren't seen in other areas. So obviously this led to a negative gameplay experience. So if it is possible, the idea would be to be able to disable the hot tracks and have the older tracks, so you wouldn't have that much of an effect. Another post from 2017 about blank talismans. So this is kind of similar to the concept that we have when it comes to the Warbond shop now, but instead just removing the RNG. So instead of having the RNG talisman, what you'd have is a blank talisman that you can purchase with Warbonds, and then what you're able to do is when you go to purchase a vehicle's talisman in the game, it will give the option to either buy it with GE or buy it with a blank talisman kind of coupon from the inventory. So it's a way of being able to get a free talisman through Warbonds. This has been all of the stuff past the developers from the mechanics section. Overall, it's been some good ideas, some bad ideas. It's just all over the place this time. Thank God this December 2021 one is done. They just threw everything at the wall to see what stuck when it came to this past the developers. And it's been a bit of a chore to get through. Hopefully January is a little bit easier. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Professor X 1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, BRFC 15, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe A, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, and then Kyle Kin, Barine, Lafouche, and also Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.